Hey, brothers and sisters from the Starknet ecosystem. Welcome back to the Star Cafe. This is Nur Star speaking, your personal star barista. And once again, we are ready to delight you with some very special Starknet content. So, dear Starknet family, we are going to end the week at the Star Cafe by diving deep into a project that has won the first prize at the recent ETHGlobal Paris Hackathon in the Starknet category, together with the Einstein Summation project. As you know, there were like two first prizes, and well, the project that we are going to learn more about today is PixeLAW, which is a primitive autonomous world project which experiments with programmable game dynamics on the pixel layer. And I'm really looking forward to this session in order to learn more about autonomous world and PixeLAW. So enough for this intro. Let's open today's cafe by welcoming JK and Syora. Hello, guys. Hi, welcome to the Star Cafe.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. The Starknet community has been amazing. So I'm super excited that we can start this space today. I hope it's not too noisy from my side, but if it's too noisy, just let me know and I'll change the location or something like that. But yeah,
Sure, let's
awesome.
start. Hey, that's great, sisters from the Starknet
Hello, Syora.
ecosystem.
Hi.
Welcome to
Hi,
Star
thank you
Cafe,
for
your
invitation,
virtual
and
space
I'm
cafe
sorry
where
for my
you'll
for
enjoy your
English, but
favorite beverage
I'm
while
so
listening
excited
to
to speak
some cool.
today.
Amazing, guys. First of all, congratulations for winning the 8th Global Hackathon. It must have been a
Thanks.
great, a great emotion. You should be proud of it. And seeing that you're relatively new to the ecosystem, so I would like also to introduce you to my community, to the Starknet community. So, would you mind giving a short introduction about yourself, about your background? Are you started building on in the crypto space and stuff like that?
Sure. Maybe I can just go first. My name is just John. You can also just call me JK. So I've been actually kind of building companies for like almost 5 years now. I actually started my first company in China. I'm originally from Germany, so after university, I moved straight to China and learned Chinese and started my own company. And I think that was kind of my initiation of like kind of building products and kind of like building projects from scratch. And I kind of got into crypto, I think in the beginning in 2017, but really like full-time crypto was around 2 years ago. So not that, yeah, I guess a little recent, 2 years ago. And I was working initially in a DeFi company, essentially working like NFT MM, so really focused on NFT trading. And that's also how I got in touch into like the on-chain gaming space because that's a high throughput of NFT trading is required. Anyway, so that was kind of like my initiation to the space. And I was super exciting, especially when I got in touch with all the autonomous world guys and on-chain gaming guys. I thought it was really exciting. And then last week actually I met Syora. We met at a hacker house in Paris doing ETHCC. And that's also when I kind of got introduced more and more to the Starknet ecosystem. I've heard about Starknet before, but I think it's very different when you actually get to meet in person. And I can also see in the audience we have Secretive joining. It was actually an amazing help when we were launching PixeLAW. So, anyways, that was like the initiation of PixeLAW began last week during ECC. And it was everything happened so quickly, and now we're here in just like 1 week. So it's super cool. But that's kind of my journey from like 5 years ago to now. Really getting to the point of like building PixeLAW now.
Very impressive, John. Thanks a lot. What about you, Syora?
Okay, let me try. So, my background is yeah. So I was a master student until this March, and I was majoring researching about deep learning, especially in the vision model. So then for crypto, actually, I don't have much experience about crypto. So because I started learning about Bitcoin last year, seriously. Then so after that, I studied about Ethereum and Solidity, and but I did not much I do not have much experience about crypto, but Yeah, I have built so I have built a free on-chain poker game in the ETHGlobal Tokyo, then submit to the hackathon. Then yes, then after that I met autonomous war in this April or yeah. So then I was so excited about this concept. Then yeah, I just came up with this idea of PixeLAW. Then so
Yeah.
yeah, thanks. I built yeah. Then the time is come to it's a global Paris. Then yeah, the my environment is moving so fast, recently, and then so as JK said, I want to great thank you about all of our Starknet ecosystem members and especially Secret. Yeah, that's all for me. Thanks.
That's unbelievable, Shora. So you're telling us that you've been into developing into blockchain for 1 year, even less than 1 year, and
Yes.
you've already managed to win an ETHGlobal Hackathon, which is very remarkable.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you,
Yeah.
and to and the whole team
Yeah.
again. And,
I
yeah.
can believe. Yeah. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. So, guys, yeah, let's start. Talking a bit more about the topic of today, which is PixeLAW. And yeah, what is the main idea behind PixeLAW? How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, maybe Shora, do you want to kick off on this question?
Yeah, let me try. So the main idea behind PixeLAW is to create a primitive autonomous world. So that allows players to go around and play and interact at the pixel layer. So this primitive nature maximizes our autonomous world potential. And I think so. Uh, actually, I wrote an article about autonomous world potential. So to maximize that potential, yeah, I create this project.
Yeah, it was actually very interesting. Like, since we were both at the Hacker House, we talked a lot, and I think I was initially thinking of like building like a pixel-based like on-chain mini game. And while I was thinking about it, I also heard that Shara, we kind of connected that he was also wanted to build something very basic, something primitive, and he also thought of like pixel-based autonomous worlds. And then we kind of like thought about this even more, and like we kind of got to this kind of idea where I could even build like my game inside the world. And then we're thinking even crazier, like what if we don't have just one game, but two worlds? And then we actually started thinking further about what this kind of can enable, right? What is a true autonomous world? A true autonomous world is where you can actually have interoperable aspects, interoperable games within just one world. And the reason why we do it so basically is because pixels allow for so many things to happen just within this one base layer. So essentially, how it kind of happened, right? So I had this idea about like this autonomous world in pixels. I had the idea of like building like a pixel-based game, and we kind of merge these into like what PixeLAW kind of has evolved into now, where we now look at these different interoperable games within one layer. I think we can also talk a bit further about what actually that can enable, but that's kind of the origin story. And yeah, I think that's what we then made our hackathon project out to be. Until we then won the prize. But I think exactly these mechanics, how they work, I think we should definitely dive into them because they're really, really cool.
Very interesting. And at which hacker house did you start, brainstorming about this project? Were you at the Komorebi's gaming hacker house, or at the, at the ZK Lambda Week Hacker Week, where there was, something related to Dojo? Because I saw that, you used the Dojo in your project. So, which hacker house did you meet, and did you start working on the project that you eventually submitted at the hackathon?
Yeah, so we're working at the Como Rebbe's hacker house because the hacker house was specialized in autonomous worlds on-chain games. So that's where the kind of like initial vision came from. Actually, it's very interesting you say that there was another hacker house kind of focused more on like Starknet and Dojo. The reason why we kind of like initially also built on dojos because we actually got such a good access to the ecosystem. I was initially leaning more towards mud, and then Syora had such a great connection to the ecosystem. There were so many cool developers who wanted to help out that we then decided actually building Starknet on Dojo, because then so that was actually the transaction. But like in the beginning, we met at the Komorebi Saka House.
I see. Yeah, I know Komorebi, and I heard the great things of projects coming out of it. Hacker House. So yeah, that's another point in your favor. And I wanted to know, what does this PixeLAW game look like? How is the autonomous world, this autonomous world, visualized on the front end side?
Right. So maybe Syora, I talk about this first, and you can add on afterwards. I mean,
Okay, thanks.
we were okay. So from the experience from the user, is we imagine PixeLAW is a grid of pixels. So you can essentially just imagine it very, very simple. You have a grid of pixels where you can change the color, where you can change the state, and that's the very, very base layer, right? So PixeLAW is a grid of pixels. So it starts off very, very simply, right? But then one of our first use cases is obviously gaming. Then you can think about, hey, what can I do in regards to gaming on this pixel grid, which is this base layer that how PixeLAW kind of currently presents itself. And you can build games such as, like, for example, Snake, right? You can build a Snake game within pixels, which kind of is a snake that moves around the PixeLAW grid. And then you can also build maybe another game such as Pac-Man, right? I love to use these two examples because they work very well, because you can have a Pac-Man game and a Snake game in the exact same PixeLAW world. And what should then happen is that the Snake should be able to enter the world of the Pac-Man, or should be able to Pac-Man game, maybe even consume one of the ghosts in the process, grow bigger as a result, and then leave the Pac-Man game. So there you can really have this interoperable aspect. And that's how the game is presented. So if we actually see then PixeLAW as a developed kind of like autonomous world, I would love the player to enter the game and be able to see a bunch of different games happening all at once, right? You maybe see 5 snakes, you see 10 different kind of Pac-Man games, and maybe a bunch of like different paint games where people are just painting, and all of it within the same kind of world. And that's exactly the idea of PixeLAW, right? You have all these like interoperable games that kind of exist at the same time. And that's what made it really exciting for us to kind of like work on that. And yeah, that's how you can kind of imagine it. And maybe Syora, you also want to maybe point out how PixeLAW kind of acts maybe even beyond gaming, right?
Yeah, I think so. So first, in terms of the front end, I think there should be a lot of front end which users can use and select, because I think one of the great things of autonomous world is we can change the how to visualize. I mean, so because autonomous world is created by blockchain, right? And then blockchain is just a state machine. So I mean, there is no information about our front end or visualization, so we can change freely. So I mean, in detail, I mean, so first there should be the simple pixel art front end, and there should be some pixel based front end which refers some information about game. Then I think there should be a lot of front end each front end per game. So for example, if we use only one grid or only one pixel for rock paper scissors game, we can just focus on that pixel, and we can just create the rock paper scissors front end. I think, yeah, it's like that.
Very good. Yeah, JK, did you want to add something?
No, I think it mainly touches into, as Syora said, you can have many different kind of front ends for PixeLAW as a world. just the ones we initially want to see, like that the one we built was this grid, the 64 to 64 pixel grid that can obviously extend beyond that. But that's the initial kind of front end we've built. And yeah, I mean, like the cool idea is that if you have these bunch of games running within this world, you can build very creative front ends to experience the same kind of systems just through a different kind of like front end. So creating therefore a different kind of like game experience. Anyways, but yeah, that's mainly essentially it.
I see. Very, very exciting. And what are the components that define the properties of each individual pixel inside PixeLAW?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Okay, so now if you think of like PixeLAW is built using Dojo, right? And Dojo follows an ECS system. So you have entities, you have components, you have systems, and that's essentially the ground layer. That's what's kind of like PixeLAW is built upon, right? So you can imagine every pixel has its own components. So I guess you can imagine pixel as an entity and it has different components. The current ones it has a color, it has a Unicode, so you can not only add a color into a pixel, you can also maybe add a text or maybe an emoji, whatever the game kind of demands. You have permissions. For example, permission is very crucial. Every pixel has different permissions because if you as a game builder create a game on top of PixeLAW, you should be able to define who else is able to interact with the pixel you build your game on, right? Because if it's just a free-for-all, it's kind of just everything is just chaos. So you need to be able to set permissions for the pixels that you own as a game creator. So the pixels you spawn, you own, and you can set permissions. So you can also set, hey, the snake game should be able to interact with these pixels or should not. So this is just an example of permission. Then we also have a start time where we have like defined, we generally want these games not necessarily permanent. It depends on the design. We haven't really set that yet. So you have the idea, you have the possibility to have all these pixels be reused after maybe 2 weeks or something like that. The games are just kind of it's kind of like a fluid state in a sense. So we have time, we have color, we have permissions, we have ownership, right? Who owns the pixels? And these are the core. I think that did I miss a crucial one, Shara? Of the components of each pixel that are very crucial?
Yeah, right. So let me talk about more my philosophy. So because I want to make PixeLAW keep simple at first, and so for that, the first I want to make the components should have only two properties. I mean, coordinates and colors. Then, so for ownership, yeah, at first, we should not have the ownership property because, yeah, the design and the architecture is not under determined, and yeah, I'm sorry. This concept is hard to tell for me in English, so yeah. So JK, can you help me?
Yeah, sure. I think also what Shaw wants to mention is like, if you imagine autonomous worlds where each pixel has different kind of components, the design of these components should be very thoughtful. There should be an intent. It shouldn't be us kind of like being able to change all these different kind of components. There should be some kind of governance also behind that. And that's also when we were talking about the initial idea of PixeLAW, is that there should be some kind of DAO, some kind of DAO behind that, that is also able to add potentially new kind of components on the base layer, right? We're currently talking only about the base layer. The base layer of PixeLAW should be governed by some kind of DAO or by some kind of organization that can potentially enable or add maybe different kind of game logic on top of that. Because yeah, so that's also what you wanted to bring up, Shaw, right?
Yeah, right. Thanks so much.
No worries. Yeah, so these are the main components. And yeah, I mean, like, obviously, as we create our own, because what we're going to do, we're going to create our own games on top of PixeLAW. as we experience what kind of other components might be needed, we can build them on top. But yeah, we're just building as we go right now.
Well understood. Great. And you were saying that obviously these games that are going to be developed on PixeLAW will be owned by the users, by the gamers, by DAOs. And my question is, how can creators and DAOs and players will be able to alter the state of the world, and how will they be able to introduce new logic in the PixeLAW? Speaking about the practical side of it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's actually a great question. Okay. So in a sense, you enter the world, and as a player, you can maybe select the different kind of mods, different kind of games that are available. So, for example, a snake game, right? And then you play the game, and as you walk through the world, the systems check if you can actually walk there or not, depending on your permissions, right? So that's from the gamer perspective. Now, if you are a game creator, you actually need to get ownership over some of the pixels, even though it's like temporary. We also still have to, right? So it's a hackathon project. There's some details that we haven't fully finalized just yet. So some of these, they might still change. But
Right.
yeah, let me just finish our. So we have these game creators who can then alter kind of like different kind of areas to actually place their game there that they've created. And how do they create their games? How do they actually create logic? Is because in Dojo, you have systems that essentially define how different kind of projects interact with each other, right? You create systems that enable kind of that essentially enable this kind of game logic that you want to program into the PixeLAW world. And the way it should be working is that if you have two different kind of game creators that exist in separate, and they collaborate and say, hey, let's create different new game logics that so that both of our games can interact. They have to align, they have to create systems that enables the other game to interact with theirs. So it enables the other system, the other pixels, that opens up their permissions to them, and to actually define these systems and how the game logic actually works, right? Because you cannot just open up the permission, you also have to add the game logic, right? If the snake eats the ghost in Pac-Man, what happens, right? Can it actually consume it or not? So that has to be defined in systems that is written by the game co-creators, and they essentially have to co-create the game logic. So that's the raw idea and rough idea how it actually kind of works. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. So
Very good. Well, guys, I've been learning so many things about PixeLAW and about autonomous world, and I'm so happy about that. Before turning into the second part of our cafe, of our Star Cafe, I would like to shout out to some of the listeners who came here to support us. So, hello, Secretive from Lutrians, Exodus, Out Something from Ducks Everywhere, Pizza Runs, Nico from Cafe Cosmos, Kodawari, Rick, Kepler, Atsume, Mart, Evan, Bad School, Mapio, and all the others. It's a pleasure to have you here, and it was a pleasure to meet some of you in person during the Starknet CC. It was an unforgettable day. And yeah, having said that, Syora and GK, you've been giving some hint about 3 games or the games that are being built inside the PixeLAW. And so which are these 3 games? Could you elaborate a bit deeper on that? And what are their functionalities?
Yeah. Okay, so actually the game that has been implemented, so that's kind of also that has been implemented and localhost is essentially the paint game where you can actually change color. You can actively change the color state, or even you could add letters. The unit that's what we've already built. However, the other 2 games that we want to build in preparation of DevConnect in Istanbul actually is Rock Paper Scissors. So and the last one is Snake. So these are the 3 games we aim to implement and then also create some systems so that it can actually interact. Now let me just kind of dive maybe a little bit deeper into each one of them. I think paint is pretty straightforward, right? You can change the color, the Unicode of any of the pixels that are not owned by anyone else yet. That has open permission for the paint game. Then you can also have the rock paper scissors. I mean, essentially, rock paper scissors is in a sense where you can select a pixel, and you can either choose rock, paper, or scissors, and it will fight against one that is very close, and then it will draw a conclusion and one of the winners. So that's how it's kind of going to work. And then the last one is going to be snake. I think snake's also very straightforward in the sense where you have a snake that moves around the world. Now, if you think about interactions, about open systems and interactions between different kind of games within PixeLAW, snake could move and maybe swallow the paint or the paint and actually grow because of that, right? And the snake should be able to either, if it runs against a rock in the rock paper scissors game, it should even die, right? Because that's what happens when a snake runs against something that blocks itself, right? Normally it's tail, but in this case, it should also be a rock in the rock paper scissors game. It should also be able to eat the paper in the rock paper scissors, or even the the scissors, right? They should have different kind of interactions. The way you can think about it, probably paper should also extend the snake, and scissors should shorten it. So that is what we're currently thinking of implementing. And yeah, I mean, it does still take some time for us to do these things, but that's the rough game design of how we currently think about it. So you can really interact. You can maybe even place a rock paper scissors pixel on top of a colored pixel. I don't know. I haven't fully defined all of these games. We haven't fully defined all of the games design interactions just yet, but that's the rough idea. You can think about it.
Awesome. And well, you've already answered to my next questions, but perhaps you could go a bit deeper on that. And how can game creators extend the rules of the game and create new experiences within PixeLAW? And maybe also could you tell us what entity governs and leads over these rules of the pixels, and yeah, that's pretty much so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Shao, do you want to? Yeah, I mean, that's very specific. That's very much in detail. We're still figuring out some of the details, but I can definitely talk about some of the questions. But maybe, Shao, do you want to say something first?
Yeah, so the details of the design or how to govern is not is not determined yet. So we are thinking about a lot about this governance, and plus my philosophy is this autonomous world should be governed by DAO from the beginning. So yeah, so I want to think about a lot about that for now.
Can you maybe,
Yeah,
Shao,
I understand.
yeah, maybe, Shao, can you maybe talk? I know because you had a very strong idea. Like, why do you think? Because you explained this to me many times, or we talked about this many times before as well. Why do you think
Sorry?
PixeLAW should be? Can you maybe talk more about why you think so strongly about PixeLAW being governed from a DAO from the very beginning? Why is it so important?
Okay, so I think autonomous world is our world, right? So things I want to create a planet, right? So then planets should not be governed by one centralized organization, right? So the planet should begin with chaos and should be governed by DAO or something like decentralized organization, I think.
Yeah.
That's our
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. No, that's what I kind of was like trying to lead towards. And if we now kind of go back to how to create these open systems. So, okay, so imagine you have the rock, paper, scissors game. And within the rock, paper, scissors game, obviously you have certain systems like place rock or initiate game. So these are certain systems that have to be defined by the game creator. So you kind of have systems that are specific to your game, where you just create the game logic for your own game. Then you should also create systems that that expect a certain input from another game. So we can for a snake to rock system, something like that. So the snake, if a snake pixel enters a rock pixel, you can then say, then what happens to the rock, right? Because you're the owner of you're the definer, you're the game creator of the rock paper scissors game. You have snake to rock, and then you define a logic what happens to the rock. Then on the other side, you have the snake game, and the snake says snake to rock, and then the snake game essentially creates what happens to the snake when the snake hits the rock. So these are the cool kind of systems that have to be kind of co-created, right? It has to be integrated into each game individually that defines the response based on what happens based on if they clash with each other, right? So that's just a very basic example. I hope I made it more clear with that. But again, like we still have to design part of that, and still, I mean, also Dojo, right? Dojo is also still majority, like still developing, right? So we are also figuring exactly what are the best ways to actually implement this. We have a great idea, and we've also somewhat tested this, but this will definitely get better moving forward. Yeah.
Very clear, and I really enjoyed the explanation from Syora about the importance of such a game being governed by a DAO. You know, because obviously it would be better that decisions about the laws of the game would be agreed by a group of people through a governance process and something like that. So I really like that point. And you spoke about the fact that you use the Dojo engine, and yeah, I just wanted to know how was it like building with Dojo? Your impressions, maybe what impressed you, and also maybe if you found any challenges in working with it.
Yeah. So I think for me it was actually quite difficult. I started working with Solidity and Mud, right, and got very familiar with Solidity, and then like working with Dojo, we suddenly were focusing a little bit more on Cairo. And honestly, like learning Cairo just from the very beginning, like within three days was too much. Or I mean, not even 3 days. Like the ETHGlobal Hackathon was like almost 2 days, not even 2 days. So that was actually quite tough. So we're very lucky that we had two of our other team members who are actually not here yet, that were very experienced Cairo developers who can really help out in that front. We also had Loaf, right, a lot of a few. Be able to actually help us out in person, right? Because he was also in the hacker house. So, I mean, essentially the reason why PixeLAW got so far is just because we had a great team and also great community members around that team to actually help out and actually finalize that. Yeah, so but for me, myself, I actually struggled very initially with Dojo. I mean, the Dojo ECS system is very, very logical. It makes it very great, but you still have to create in Cairo. And since it was so new for me, it was actually quite a struggle for me personally.
Very good. And Syora, would you like to add something?
So yeah, so I want to thank you about the Community Hackers members for helping us to build PixeLAW. Then I asked for Starknet community to write a document in details for in current documents for Dojo is not good for me at least. So I wait for the update.
I see. And guys, as we are coming to almost to the end of the Star Cafe, and you also have an announcement, maybe you could say that after answering my last question, which is how will user be able to start playing with your game? Sorry, when will users be able to start playing with PixeLAW?
Yeah, so let me talk about the first, and then sure you can go to the announcement. So what we're aiming for, we're currently kind of a core team of like 4 people, and we want to get PixeLAW ready on testnet with 3 games that I was just talking about. Maybe if we have more time, for Dev Connect in Istanbul, that is in November. So that's the goal, right? We essentially have 3 months to get PixeLAW ready for Dev Connect so that people can actually start playing it and actually kind of create these interactive, like game interactive experiences, which never really been possible before. So yeah, that's the goal. So by November, 3 months, Dev Connect, I think, starts on the 11th of November. So that's the goal.
Great. Good luck with that. Really looking forward to it. And yeah, what about the announcement, guys?
Syora, do you want to talk about our Discord?
Yeah, so but they can go first. Go for
No, it's fine. You can start.
Okay, so we have created a Discord server, so please join. Let me tweet by the PixeLAW account. Yeah. I will share the tweet on this comment later, but yeah, but the one point I want to mention about that we start only one. Oh, sorry.
Do you want to add the I know you can add the post somewhere. I don't know if we can still do that. If not,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. You basically, do you see here on the dashboard, on the lower side, on the right side, on the lower right side, you will see the commenting symbol. You can click there and write the Discord link as a comment.
Great.
Okay, I will try.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. And well, let's see if there's somebody from the audience who would like to ask you for a question, because I see very talented developers here, so maybe they're curious. So guys, feel free to send me, the permission to talk if you want to ask JK and Syora for some enlightening questions. And yeah, we'll be waiting for 10, 20 seconds. And then if there are no questions, we'll close today's cafe.
Awesome. Yeah, I think in the meantime, right, I can just say that if you want to check out PixeLAW, right, you can either like check out mine or Syora's profile. And we've been posting a bunch about PixeLAW, and we will be also in the future. So you'll be finding PixeLAW there as well. And yeah, if you want to find it, the Twitter, and hopefully Syora is able also to post the Discord link. If not, you can just find it via our Twitter profiles. And yeah, I mean, like in the Discord, we also post a bunch of updates and everything. If we make any updates, our update towards DevConnect, right? So within the 3 months, we have a bunch of stuff. If there are any people who would like to maybe also join as a contributor, also please reach out to us, right? Because it's also very exciting for us to work with more and more people in the Starknet ecosystem. That's why I also like love Nostak's also like initiative to really build up these kind of different kind of spaces around the Starknet ecosystem projects, because I think that this really makes the Starknet ecosystem. We've been seeing like a huge spike in like transactions in Starknet, which is amazing, right? So I think this is actually partly the reason why, right? There's so many people on a grassroots level that do all these crazy things and really cool things that make people actually interact with each other. So if you have any questions, let us know. If not, also okay. Join the Discord, comment, talk to us. Be very cool.
Well, I think this episode, was mind-blowing, and I am very happy to know that, a team of very talented people like you two and all the other team members of PixeLAW have joined Starknet and the Starknet community. We're so happy about that. We wish you all the best, and thanks a lot for coming today at the Star Cafe. We learned a lot, definitely. And looking forward, to rushing into your Discord and to see the future developments around the game. And yeah, obviously, I would also like to say a big thank you to all the listeners, Secretive, Exodus, or Something, Pizzarand, Kodawari, Casey, Betscoop, Mart, Mohammed, and all the others. Thanks a lot, guys. It's now time to close the Star Cafe. Remember to share the Starknet vibe, and see you the next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.